my aunt the other day. We were at a gas station back in Louisville, on 28th and Broadway, so in the heart of the West End, in Lyle's Mall, and we're Lyle's, and Lyle's is in their distant relatives of ours who've done well for themselves in Louisville. Um, an altercation broke out between two men. One was an older guy, and one was a younger guy, and he had his homie with him, and yeah, I'll say it. They were archetypical thugs, the young guys, and the elder guy. He was screaming at them, "I'm tired of taking this shit from these young guys," and it just went on and on and on. Apparently, it was just road rage. Apparently, the young guys had cut the older guy off in traffic, and they'd caught up with each other at the gas station, and it had quickly escalated into this what was becoming a brawl. And what was interesting to see is that this went on for quite some time. The huffing and the puffing, the peacocks fluttering their feathers. And a small crowd had gathered. And I was watching the crowd, but scared. And I was pumping gas. And I said, I hope this gas hurries up. It pumps. I felt like the guy in the Color Purple where he asked Miss Sophia's, if she wanted to work for her. She ended up working for them anyway. But that's what I felt like at that moment, because I knew something is about to happen. And I don't know Louisville like I used to know Louisville. And a lot of young brothers out here killing each other. And so my family's talkative, so of course we had started to talk about the situation. And my aunt, she was just stewing in the back. And finally she just got out, and she screamed at the top of her lungs, "Stop the genocide." She screamed it at the top of her lungs. And then she went over there and she said she just cannot take it to see this happening. She started screaming at him, "Stop the genocide, stop," and then she tried to mediate, true Libra and true Libra form. My aunt started to try to mediate what was going on with them and to appeal to the young guy. And so what was interesting was that you could hear the older guy. You could hear all the insults that he was saying towards the younger guys. He had gone to his trunk and gotten a crowbar and had it behind his held it behind his arm. And but he didn't touch anybody. He didn't use it. He didn't even pat their car. And that was interesting too, is that he could have caused damage to the car, but he also chose not to do it. But it was a real huffing and puffing match. And so what happened was, the younger guys were responding, but from a distance you couldn't hear anything that they were saying. They were whispering or talking lowly. And finally, my aunt came back to the car. A crowd had amassed, but nobody did anything. Traffic was stopped on the way in the parking lot to see what was going on. It was pretty serious. And my mother just kept telling my aunt to just let it go, to not carry everybody's pain. And it's something big that my mother talks about. They really destroyed a lot of people around her, particularly in the 70s, during the movement, as she calls it. And I see the stagnation now, so I understand what a movement means. But the people who were destroyed, almost like the breakdown I had senior year at Oberlin, when I felt that racism was just so pervasive. And sexism is just so pervasive, and classism is differently accepted in so many ways that I almost lost the American dream. I almost lost hope. But I talked to the right people, and they got me back on track. Still fighting for justice. But just to see my aunt, who was born 2 days before me, and my grandfather, her father, was born between us. So we have a lot of Libras just in this little clan here. And I felt her. What can you do to get these brothers to see that this is the genocide? And of course, my mother tried to console her. I was really crying, because my cousin, her son, is one of those guys. And she said that. And she's, fully aware that that genocide includes her son more than me, who lives, literally on the other side of the planet. It's scary to know that in my city, in my hometown, just like, that guy wrote in The Color of Water, James McBride, on 34th in Vermont, a lot of brothers lose their lives. Slowly, either through drugs or alcohol, or very quickly through this genocide, which includes provoking the police in ways that We need not. Because, you know, what would happen if we actually needed to call the police one day? But there's a situation where we can't trust them, period, in our city. And it's not that they're all bad. I've known cops. I knew a cop, a friend's father, and he was a great guy. And so then you think about the role models that you know. And my mother keeps calling for leadership in this family and saying that her grandfather didn't teach any of her sons to be leaders. But I look at what a leader is, and I look at my aunt. She leads by example. She doesn't feel any reward from that, not yet, perhaps. But we're watching her, and we know, I've always watched her, and I've always seen that when she wants something, she is determined and knows how to be determined.